The first thing that we usually do, for those of you that haven't been, is we ask for our sheriff to give his summary report of the past month, and I know it's covered spring break. So he may have some good information to give us, and we also usually have it up on our website as well for the summary of incidents and significant events. And the next thing we're going to do is introduce our new code enforcement officer. So let's get started. And Sergeant Daniel Smith, come on up.
Happy that spring break is over. Okay. So, yeah, it's over. Yeah, no, all the kids are gone. You guys probably have seen that they're not just walking all over the place anymore. So I have both reports for both months, March and April. So I'll start with March. During the month of March, there were 569 calls for service on Siesta Key. 23 incidents, or 4% of the total of those calls, were persons or property crimes classified under what the FBI classifies as persons property crimes. Those were an aggravated assault 1, simple assault 6, auto theft 1, residential burglary 1, a vehicle burglary 2, fraudulent use of personal identification 1, grand larceny 1, 3 petty thefts, 1 petty theft of an auto part, 1 petty theft of a bicycle, 1 petty theft from a building, and 1 petty theft shoplifting, 2 robbery, and 1 wire fraud. I'll go over just a few of these, probably the robbery. I won't read them all for time. So for the 2 robberies that were reported, one was domestic related, during which a phone was damaged and a wallet was stolen. Probable cause affidavit, so charging document was filed on that person. In the second incident, a juvenile was battered and his backpack was stolen. Through the investigation, the suspect was identified and arrested. Yeah, I'll go, if we have time, I can go over some more, but I'll go over April 1st to the 30th. So from April 1st to the 30th, 2023, there were 484 calls for service on Siesta Key. 31 incidents, or 6%. So the month before was 4%. So 6% were classified as persons or property crimes under the classification from the FBI. I'll go over the same breakdown. 1 aggravated assault, 7 simple assaults, so it was up 1 from the month prior. 2 auto thefts, 1 non-residential burglary, 1 burglary residential, 1 vehicle burglary, 1 defrauding innkeeper, 1 forgery, 1 fraud, 2 grand larcenies of other, 1 petty theft, 4 petty thefts of bicycles, 2 petty thefts from buildings, 4 petty thefts shoplifting, 1 robbery, and 1 sexual assault. So that's kind of see there, that's really in the heart of spring break for the most part, how some of those things went up, and it went up from a 4% to a 6%. But as we've talked in past months, it kind of lingers around that 6% or so. So it for the bulk of spring break there, it really didn't increase a whole lot. Let's see, I'll go over. So the robbery here, the robbery began after an argument over a parking space at the beach parking lot. One of the involved parties knocked a cell phone out of the other party's hand. So it was classified as a robbery by a sudden snatching, I believe. But they did not want to press charges, so the victim in that crime signed a waiver. For the sexual assault, all parties in that case are known to each other, and the victim in that case also signed a waiver of prosecution and did not want to file charges. And that's the main ones, unless anybody wants to hear anything specific that I didn't mention here. And if anybody has any suggestions for spring break, or any observations about spring break, or anything that we did or didn't do that you'd like to see, we can talk about how to improve our spring break response, if anybody has any suggestions on that.
I got a question. Golf carts, are they becoming a problem for you guys?
Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, did you have a specific problem?
Not necessarily, it just seems like golf carts are crazy out of control.
There are a lot. I mean, for
For
spring,
spring break.
for spring break, we did see a lot of kids on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact numbers, but I think there was two to four rollovers of those golf carts because they're 4-seaters, sometimes 6-seaters, and they have 10, 12 kids on them. So they don't really function correctly. So that's kind of just more of continued education on our end with the rental companies out here, just to make sure they're providing, you know, education on the people renting them, the parents that are renting them, to make sure that the kids aren't taking them and they're operating them where they're supposed to and appropriately.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the part I can say, a lot of families. Like
Yeah, and
underage, like
Right.
really underage.
and most of the times when we've stopped them or during these crashes, the parents will show up and they're kind of oblivious to the situation of why they can't be driving them, or, you know, that you
Oh.
can't have 50 kids on them. Any other questions, spring break?
Yeah, well, primarily, I hear this in spring break, but I thought I had read a while ago about maybe the state law, having to do with, the sound coming from a vehicle, not the engine, but music, like.
Right, yes, that was taken away a while back, and the state statute is now back in effect, so we can't stop for that again.
Because this spring break it was horrendous.
Yeah, I know the guys were out there, they were stopping when a violation was observed, and I have to reread the statute to 100% confirm, but I think it's 25 feet, clearly audible
Yeah.
from 25 feet, so I'd have to reread it just to make sure that that's still in there from when they brought it back.
And I manage property close to Stiffy Point. We've made this offer in the past. If you ever need a place to park a patrol car on our entryway.
Okay,
where
yeah.
It's not real visible from NPR, you are welcome to, where it says SKA, so.
Okay,
if
thank you.
stop by and ask
I can make a note of that, yes, Royal.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Right, that rock golf carts.
Yes.
Are they allowed to be driven on all the streets on Santa Fe or certain?
No, so for 35 and under. 35 and under.
At midnight passes. Or-
Yeah, down there it's 40, and starting basically just here after the church, it switches to
and they're
40.
all limited, they're also-
Yep, and we stop when we see it. So that's again, it's an education on
The rent, sure. The people who are.
the people who are
renting.
renting, and every time we've talked to the people that are doing the rentals, they say that it's in their agreement, and people agree that they can only go on approved spaces and places, and it's up to human nature to follow that. And
You can't get from the 35 to the 35, right?
right, yeah, right here, no, you can't. Spring break related? Yeah, I'd like to focus on spring break if we can,
Got
because I don't have
someone,
a lot of time.
someone over here.
I guess you gotta be pretty happy about preventing the large groups of kids that were on Patriots Pier area. And they
When-
gather, and then there were fights, and I guess this last spring break, did you do something different? That
We actually had some help one day from Mr. Holderness. He got word of a large party that was gonna come out there. He passed it on to me early in the morning, and then we were able to get ahead of it. And we stationed vehicles out there. I put my guys out there, so we kind of, if we know about it, it's a lot easier to prevent than it is to break it up when there's 1,000 already out there. So if you hear of something like that from kids or grandkids or anything like that, that there's gonna be a large party out there, pass it on to law enforcement if you can. There's a non-emergency phone number. Pass it on to us. There's also the app. I don't know if anybody has the sheriff's office app that you can report things on there as well, but pass that information to us. As if you hear it, you know, let's say this weekend, there's gonna be a party out there, 12 o'clock. Let us know, and then we can have a good response there to try to prevent that from happening.
We have one more all the way over there too.
Hold on, over here for a second. Yes, sir.
I have well, maybe a suggestion,
Mhm.
it's possible. I live, at, the intersection of, Midnight Gas Road and Wagner. And, I have lived there since 1983. Prior to the, you know, the initiation of the stoplight and so on and so forth. So a lot of progression of events at that corner. One, just the observation, okay, is an awful lot of speeding that goes on there. I don't know whether, some of you go through the light and, there's a lot of nonsense that happens there. Also, a tremendous amount of noise pollution.
Right,
My house, I have like a side driveway at my house, which is really not occupied.
okay,
I'm welcome to park the car there, okay?
Okay.
Perfect spot. You can see, I have midnight gas and then further up. Because, these people are gonna kill themselves. There's going to be, in my course of action, in this situation, I am a physician, okay? And in 1983, or at least about 20 years, I pulled plenty of people out of cars before the virus we got here.
sure, yeah, it's dangerous. People need to,
In any event, all I'm saying is that, you know very well as I do, what goes on in the CS village
Mhm.
on the weekends especially. So, that corner, not because I live here, there are a lot of other residents that live there. And it is
Sure.
insane with regard to speeding and so on. I mean.
If you'd like, you can email me, Daniel.Smith.
Excuse me?
If you'd like, email me, if you want to put your information in there. And then I can get with you at another time. And then I can meet you even up there if you'd like, and you can show me more specifically what you're talking about. My email is Daniel.Smith.
Daniel. Smith.
Smith, yep, at Sarasotasheriff.org.
Daniel Smith at.
At Sarasotasheriff.org.
Okay.
Spring break related?
is.
Okay.
Daniel, is it possible to have these numbers compared to a year ago?
Sure, yeah.
So things are, 2, 3, it'd be nice to know, are things improving over a year? Or is it
I-
crime rate even higher than it was a year ago? It's hard to tell.
I don't have the exact numbers,
It might be helpful.
but like I've talked about in the past before, since I've been out here and it's been over a year, these persons' property crimes have hovered around that 6%. And I was out here last year for spring break, but I started right at the very start of it. So I wasn't involved in the planning, or anything like that prior. I was just kind of thrown into it. This year, I helped out a lot with the planning and we did what we did last year, but improved upon it. And for me personally, I think this year went a lot smoother. It seemed like it went a lot quicker. I don't know if you guys felt the same way from our response and just the overall crowds and things like that.
You get more reports, you get fewer reports as the years go on. I guess the objective would be.
I'm gonna say it will always increase as years go on because the population is going to always increase. But I can get those numbers from last year and over the operation. They won't be exact because last year the operation was longer. It went actually until May 1st. This year we ended on the 19th.
Thank you.
More visitors on that?
That I don't know. I don't.
I think they don't like lifeguards.
We have to get
I
our.
just want to thank you for keeping the mob down during this spring break. You guys did a great job getting ahead of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that was awesome.
And that's big, letting us know about that. Like I said, about the prevention, early intervention. Let us know. Okay, thank you.
All right, and we have the good fortune of having a new code enforcement officer who is actually a police officer. He gave me permission to say all these good things about him. And 19 years a police officer. And he has lived in this part of South Florida, Southwest Florida for a while. And he has been in our area in Punta Gorda, even just after Charlie. Has a lot of good experience, and he is now our new code enforcement. And as you see on your agenda, you have Bern Pisaturo. Is that correct? How you say it? Okay, great. And I told him, don't tell me anything bad because I can't say anything to him. And I will. No, come on up. Introduce yourself.
Hi, folks. I'm Bern Pisaturo, new code enforcement officer. I started with the department January 3rd of this year, originally in the Gulf Gate area. Was there for 3 months and then just came out to CSDP the middle of April, end of April. So a little bit of my background. Spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, became a policeman in Rhode Island for 20 years, moved to Florida, worked for the Lee County Sheriff's Office, major crimes, for 6 years down in Fort Myers. Sold real estate in Charlotte and Sarasota counties, commercial until COVID hit. Commercial kind of took a dive after that. We live here in Sarasota now for almost 4 years. My daughter works on the key. She works at Olaf, sweets ice cream. That's my background. Went to Roger Williams University, received a bachelor's in criminal justice. Went to Rhode Island College and got a master's in agency counseling. Being on the key, a little different than being in Gulfgate. So far, the main concern is short-term rentals. We're working on those. I've got, a case going through court now. A couple of other notice of violations for the false advertising. Well, not the 30-day minimum advertising isn't correct. People are able to still rent for a week or two, so we're working on that. Had a couple of overgrowth property cases that was able to work with the property owner, brought those into compliance. Also a derelict vehicle case, worked with that. Property owner brought that into compliance, so those are pretty much set. But that's where we're at right now. I'm new, so I'm getting to know everybody. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you.
I have to say, we had one experience just this past week, which I know you went and checked out for us, and it was actually a report about a illegal street vendor, I
Yes.
believe, and I haven't had any more complaints.
Well, she came back today.
Uh-oh.
I'll fill you in on that. She's there now. I approached her this morning. She
You have to speak into the speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's setting up tables over at, I believe it's 5412 Ocean Boulevard, and she's selling jewelry and hair extensions and stuff like that. And so I was checking for her all week, and then she showed up today. She presented to me that she has a 501c3 and a solicitation permit issued by the state. And she's alleging that she doesn't need a business use permit. That's her permit. So right now I'm having the permit department check on that and verify it, make sure that the solicitation permit doesn't supersede a BUP. Hopefully, we can get that squared away, at least by tomorrow or by Monday. She refused to leave. I couldn't force her to leave, the code enforcement. But that's what we're working right now. So if it comes up that she does need a business use permit, which in my opinion, I believe she does, we'll have her vacant.
So something that might help, Catherine probably could help you with this, is in the village, the owners own out to the edge of the sidewalk. But then the county has a utility easement over the sidewalks, except for the beach resort. That's where the big telephone pole there. But the rest of the sidewalks, you could get with the owner, and then they could trespass her, and then she can't be there.
Well, that's
It's
good
their property
information.
with easement in the top.
Okay, thank you.
When the building.
Yep, I will definitely look into that. Thanks.
Vern, thank you.
Thank
And we
you.
hope to see you here again.
All right, thank you.
Real soon. Good stuff. Thank you.